All right. Thank you all for joining us. We're so happy to have this opportunity to bring so many wonderful people together who believe in the same thing and the same efforts. And so we thought we'd just start with quick introductions. I'm Tara. I was a patient at Dana-Farber, still technically am, but I was treated 12 years ago, and I'm so happy to lead this team.
And I'm Amy Colleen, working with Tara on Team Tara and supporting all of our walkers and looking forward to October 6th.
Thank you. Amy Ennis, do you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Amy Ennis, the captain of the Bushy Strong team for the Jimmy Fund Walk. I've been a patient now for, Nadine, tell me if I'm right, I believe it's been 8 years. I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016. Been through a lot, but I love all of the friends I have met through this journey, the amazing nurses, doctors, surgeons. I've met so many amazing people at Dana-Farber, and I'm happy to be here and happy to keep going and raising money for such a great cause.
Thanks, Amy. Dr. McCleary, would you like to go next?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nadine Jackson McCleary. I'm a medical oncologist within the Gastrointestinal Cancer Center here at Dana-Farber, and just proud to be a member of Amy Ennis's care team over the past 8 years, along with other fantastic advanced level practitioners and other colleagues at our satellites. So thank you so much for this opportunity to be a part of this.
Jess.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess Abbott. I'm a director on the Jimmy Fund Walk team. I am the lucky one who gets to work with Team Tara and with Bushy Strong and all of the incredible walkers and donors who give to these two teams, and really happy to be here today and support all of you.
Thanks, Jess. Finally, Dr. Ng is going to tell us a little bit more about what she does at Dana-Farber. And we are, again, so honored to be able to support you again, Dr. Ng, with all of your incredible work, as we'll be designating all of our fundraising this year to you and your work, really so much in honor of incredible patients and their awesome doctors like Dr. McCleary and you.
Thank you. I'm really the one who is honored to be working with all of you on this. So I am a medical oncologist at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, caring for patients with all types of gastrointestinal cancers. But my research focuses on colorectal cancer and trying to understand the dietary molecular determinants of better survival for patients with this disease. I lead the Colon and Rectal Cancer Center here, as well as founded our Young Onset Colorectal Cancer Center.
Incredible. Did you want to ask?
Sure. So should I call you Kimmy or Dr. Ng on this call?
Kimmy is great.
Kimmy. It's been such a pleasure to work with you all these many years now, and we're so happy to be reunited. Can you tell us a little bit about how our fundraising has supported your work and what it means to you?
Absolutely. I really cannot thank Team Tara enough for the huge impact you've made on several different cancer types that we've been working on over the years. When you first approached me and wanted to support our work, it was with pancreatic cancer. And as you know, that is just one of the deadliest cancers out there. But with the support of Team Tara, we were able to launch one of the first efforts to comprehensively sequence the DNA in tumors of patients diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And really one of the first to report the importance of finding these alterations in genes that then may lead to more personalized treatments for patients with this cancer. And one of the major findings was the importance of mutations like BRCA mutations, which are associated with both pancreatic cancer and breast cancer. And amazingly, over the years, since those first reports of how important BRCA is, we now have treatments targeted for patients whose pancreatic cancers have the BRCA mutation. And that has literally been a game changer for pancreatic cancer patients all over the world, not just at Dana-Farber, where treating patients with this more personalized therapy lets them live longer and also with a better quality of life. After that, I was privileged to continue to be chosen to receive support for our work in colorectal cancer. And at that time, we were noticing this rise in young patients being diagnosed with colorectal cancer, more so than in previous years. And very distressingly, these cancers were often diagnosed at very advanced stages, and we do not know still to this day why it is that these cancers are rising in young people. You know, the trends have become so dire that colorectal cancer is now the leading cause of cancer death in men under the age of 50 in the United States, and is now the second leading cause of cancer death in young women. So there is an urgency to trying to figure out what is causing this uptrend. And so back then, you guys helped me to start a young onset colorectal cancer center here at Dana-Farber, which is one of the first specialized centers dedicated to caring for these young patients, because we do know young patients have very different challenges than older patients with this disease. And we also started to launch a multidisciplinary research effort to really try to better understand why that is. And now, 5 years later, I am so pleased and honored again to be the recipient of your support again, because now we are actually getting ready to investigate some hypotheses about why this might be happening.
That's awesome. Thank you, Dr. Ng. I know Amy Killeen and I touched base with Amy Ennis and brainstormed why the multiple projects that you're working on were so interesting to us, and decided on a particular project that you are doing that we're really excited about. So we were wondering if you'd be willing to share what project that is, so that our potential donors and our walkers will know where their money is going.
Absolutely. We are working on so many different things to try to figure out why colorectal cancer is rising in young people. We're looking at diets, we're looking at the foods that we eat, we're looking at, exercise habits. But one of the really important things that's been ignored and largely unstudied are what other things in our environment may be contributing to why this is happening. And we know that microplastics are gaining more and more attention as something that can be potentially contributing to all kinds of chronic diseases, including cancer. And so we know over the decades where we've been noticing this rise in young onset colorectal cancer, there has also been a rise in microplastics in nearly every aspect of our environment. It has been very difficult to study and measure microplastics in humans up until this point, where we are now collaborating with a very innovative lab at the Harvard School of Public Health, who now has a way to very accurately and precisely measure levels of microplastics in blood, in stool samples, in tumor samples, so that we can really start to understand how much microplastics is there and how is it contributing potentially to why colorectal cancer may be rising in recent decades.
Wonderful. Thought it might be a good time, Amy Ennis, for you. I know you were excited about this particular project when we initially looked at Kimmy's projects. And if you wanted to just mention why this particular one was something that caught your eye.
Yeah, when I was first diagnosed, you start reading books and reading articles and all of this stuff, like, how can I help? I expect my doctors to do their piece, but there's also a piece myself that I could help with, I could do. So whether it was exercise, changing my diet, I went through all of that. But I also got into this kind of, how do I live a non-toxic lifestyle? And microplastics was a huge piece of that. Like, let's throw away our plastic bags. Let's start using stainless steel and glass instead. Let's get rid of our plastic cutting boards. Let's stay away from the Tupperware in the microwave, that sort of thing. So I think seeing research done on these sort of things, I've believed in it and I've made changes in my own life, but seeing this come out and actually be done by doctors that I know and at an institution that I trust and really love, it kind of meshed perfectly for me.
That's wonderful. And I know, Dr. McCleary, you were also excited about this choice. And if you don't mind us putting you on the spot for a minute, how does it feel for you to kind of see this collaboration of one of, a patient you've worked with for so long, who I'm sure you would consider a friend at this point, and also an incredible colleague of yours, How is that for you to sit back and watch this amazing work while also you are very much not sitting back and crushing it in every day of your own work with patients and who need it? How does it feel for you?
Incredibly grateful to see kind of this full circle moment. I've always been a big fan of Dr. Eng, Kimmy's work, more so not only because it's scientifically sound, but it's always very patient-centered and patient-focused and patient-engaged. And so to be able to kind of witness this meeting of the mind, so to speak, I think this is very much the model that we'd love to see moving forward, and has been an indication of the strength of Dana-Farber, partnering with patients, not only in terms of donations, but really being informed by what is interesting, what is important, what should be a focus to drive us forward. So I think what we're going to learn from this is not only going to impact us here at Dana-Farber, similar to the BRCA work with pancreatic cancer, it's going to impact folks worldwide.
Wonderful. And similarly, thank you so much to have Jess on the call, who, Jess, in many ways, you provide the literally the Zoom room and kind of the room and the space and the event for all of us to come together. And you do that also day in and day out. How is that? Are you excited about Dr. Eng's work and about this collaboration?
Absolutely. I think the relationship that Team Tara and Dr. Eng have had over the years has grown and evolved for different, it was the vitamin D study and now it's this. So it's really, you're able to look forward and see what's next, like where needs the funding, and then look what happens because of it. So I think the partnership between this group and the foresight into what is coming down the line that needs the funding is incredible. And it's not necessarily the norm. And I wish that it was the norm because it is really so rare and special.
That's awesome. Now I get to put you on the spot.
Oh.
Because what's also the norm is really the incredible work that that I think the Jimmy Fund Walk people do. And I often find myself sitting back while Amy, as a captain of this team, just crushes it and it does so many things that I don't even do as part of the captain circle. And so if you want to just give a moment to mention what you're excited about for this year and what Dr.
Sure.
Eng is doing, I would love to hear.
Yeah, well, I think just as a member of the advisory board, it's been really fun to see how the walk has pivoted based on having to change finish lines 3 years in a row, and just to pivot seamlessly thanks to Jess and her team. And it's just been really exciting to know that we're all going to come together on the Boston Common this year on October 6th, 1 month from today, which is crazy. And just learning about the research that Dr. Eng is doing and how it's impacting people like Amy, our friend, is really, really hopeful, I think. And our team has always focused on hope. And Kimmy, I don't know if you want to speak to that at all, but I think that theme has always resonated with you and in relation to our team.
Absolutely. And I have to honestly say there is no greater hope than right now for advancements in cancer and new understanding and new treatments that we are coming to every single day for all patients with cancer. And I have to say that we couldn't be here today without events like the Jimmy Fund Walk and teams like Team Tara and Bushy Strong, because so much of what we do, we cannot get through just traditional funding mechanisms like grants. They're so hard to get. They often do not support innovative, out-of-the-box science. They don't support very preliminary work like our microplastics project. So there really is no other way to get some of these things done and to better care for patients through a center like the Young Onset Colorectal Cancer Center than through events and teams like this. So we are just so, so grateful, and so are patients all around the world for the fundraising that you do.
Thank you so much, Kimmy. So I think what I'm hearing too, as you mentioned, Kimmy, that I know some of the projects that we funded before were ones that, again, they're so new and they're so innovative that until the data comes out showing that there is hope in there, that you can't get those other big funding opportunities. So what I've learned by working with you over the years is that it's literally the kind of feet on the ground walking in something like this that leads to the small, seed that then can get you guys further and further in the process, eventually reaching doctors like Dr. McCleary and obviously patients like Amy. So we have a ton of hope too. So our last question, I guess, before we wrap is, there's so many places, Dr. Ng, I guess this is for you, but there's so many places right now where people can put their money. There's so many organizations, there's so many places, even at Dana-Farber, and we struggle ourselves to decide where to put the money. And we do come back to the underfunded cancers and the cancers that are affecting the most people in the most significant ways. But in addition to that, why you? Why should we get people walking for your particular work and the work for your patients? What can you give us one final pitch that people should be registering to walk, whether that's for the walk itself, for Bushy Strong, for Team Tara, whatever it might be. But why is your particular work just so important right now?
Well, I think you hit on a really important point about underfunded cancers, because even though colorectal cancer is the third most commonly diagnosed cancer in the United States and globally, and you heard about the death rates already from this disease, it receives almost no funding compared to other cancers where cure rates are much higher and there are many more treatment options available. And so it is a mission of mine to really try and move the needle for patients with this disease. There are so many people living and undergoing treatment for colorectal cancer. We need funds to help discover why this is happening in young people and to develop new treatments so that we can also deliver that personalized therapy for these patients. You know, I say all the time, what keeps me up at night every single night, and it is literally true, is why is this happening to young people? And nothing tugs at my heart more than seeing a young person and their family going through this. And I really do want to prevent this from happening to future young patients and their families. And so your support will go a long way towards helping us reach that goal.
Thank you guys so
Awesome.
much. Amy, I saw you unmute. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so just to add one thing, in the last month, I've talked to 2 new patients for colon cancer, one colon, one rectal, both friends of friends that I know. And it just continues to happen because I've been so vocal, and, you know, whether it's on social media or whatever, I get emails, I get private messages all the time of my cousin, of my brother, of my boyfriend, my this. It's so alarming, but it's the reality.
The other alarming thing actually is that colorectal cancer is now happening in children. And this is not something I ever thought I would have to encounter, but literally in just 2024 alone, I've heard of at least 4 young children diagnosed with metastatic colorectal cancer. So not only is this happening to young adults, I think it's now also extending to the pediatric population. So all the more motivation for us to really work on this and figure out why this is happening.
Thank you so much. And I think one thing I just wanted to mention as we end that I've heard several of you now kind of talk about the why is this happening? And I think all of us who've been touched by cancer, and I know that's every single one of us in different ways, have asked that question. And what I find really interesting about this project on microplastics is I don't know how we would avoid that right now and live in this world. And that makes it really scary because we feel kind of helpless in terms of like, what do we do, right? Do I not drink out of cups anymore? Do I, you know, I don't know. And so I think there's a lot of really incredible hope in knowing that we are like boots on the ground researching this to, you know, either say, yeah, there are major changes we need to make in this country, or, you know, or maybe there's not, and we don't have to be so afraid of things that we might start, you know, being afraid of. But I just really appreciate that you're doing the work because it is, it's scary and at the same time so hopeful. And I think that's kind of the cancer world in a nutshell. And so I just appreciate you guys being in that world with us, and we're here to support however we can.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Well, we can't wait to see everybody on Walk Day. Thank you all for everything that you do.
Thank you, everyone. This was really, it was an inspiring way to kind of end a week. So thank you all for your contribution. And Amy, send in all the good vibes for your